So, ladies and gentlemen, fanboys and girls, nerds, weebs, and otaku, welcome back and welcome home.
All right, that was a little bit of a problem right there. But hey, folks, it is I, Written Rent Ralph from Apple Bites, and we are here today hanging out with all these beautiful people and ready to talk to you about a plethora of things, especially the fact that we are just coming off of Anime NYC this weekend, and we had a blast. And many of these people here were there. And what did you guys think? Was it a great moment? Was it fun? What do you guys have?
Who would like to go? Would you like to go first, John?
Yeah, I want to say it was fun, but it was exhausting. Yes. So I do want to say hello everybody. Hello Rafi. Hello everyone that's in the chat room right now. Yeah, my name is Drake Tinta. Just to get the intro out of the way. You know what? I went to Anime NYC only for 3 days. I had a great experience over there, but I have to also say it was very exhausting.
Oh, totally.
So there was a lot to see and a lot of people to meet, and I think especially as a creative too, like a lot of books to also give out, and hopefully get some new fans from there.
Hello there. I'm Kayla Konnichibot. But yeah, Anime NYC was my first big anime convention that I haven't been to since like 10 years ago. And it was really great going there, and also painful because I'm disabled. I have osteoarthritis, so I was walking a lot, so I did have to take a lot of breaks. But thankfully, since I went on a Sunday with my boyfriend, it wasn't as busy as the other days. Not to mention, there's good prices actually on that day too, so it was really enjoyable, and I really had a good time.
I will introduce myself. My name is Henry. I did not attend the Anime NYC this year, but I am about 10 plus years of attending the New York Comic Con consecutively. I've been lucky to do that. I love horror. It's been something I've been working on in my terms of my anime journey and drawing manga. I've been inspired by like old stuff that used to come on Sci-Fi Channel before anyone knew about it. It was called
monsters.
I believe it was called Anime Hour on Sci-Fi, and it came on Saturdays. And so I was introduced to like Shinjuku, Demon City, Wicked City, Ninja Scroll, all of that good stuff. And then eventually I drifted and started learning more anatomy and drawing comic books. And so eventually I ended up fusing it too. So that's a little backstory for you.
Okay, so who's up next?
Turn to
Go
talk.
ahead, Mochi.
Yeah, hello, I'm Mochi. So, hey, where do I begin? So I wasn't at Anime NYC either. I had a lot of family business to be taken care of. My life tends to be very spontaneous, so forgive me. Um, However, yeah, I'm an up and coming artist. I have been inspired by a weird mixture between horror and like action. So like stuff. I guess a lot of my original inspirations would be similar to like stuff between like Tim Burton to like Friday the 13th to whatever horror movies you got that you would probably find. I probably have watched it in like my high school years, along with like any anime that you would probably like talk about. My one of my all time favorites being Dragon Ball and like Yu Yu Hakusho and like
Actually, that's the shirt I'm wearing.
I love Yusuke. I love what I love about it.
Robot.
Well, I love like fashion and anime, but like one of my the reasons why I started drawing was like architecture. So like I like to draw. Like that was like one of my first reasons for drawing. I love the way how cities look, and I kind of wanted to keep the way how scenes and things of that nature looked in like in real life, but also in like the TV and like the movie screens and stuff like that. Not just like architecture either, but like the scene. My favorite thing is like backgrounds a lot of the times, or nature in general. The way how things tend to like sit there. Um, but I mean, obviously, I branched out and learned like anatomy here and there. And my art style tends to fluctuate between something that's like not so scary to terrifying to kind of cute, oddly. So, thank you for like having me here. Honestly,
No
Yeah, we're
problemo.
happy to have you here as well.
Yeah,
yeah, thank
I'm
you.
really happy. I'm really glad to be here.
Here goes the son of Saint saying hello to everybody. So he says hello
Oh,
too.
Yes,
So, slew.
hi.
Hello.
Yeah, so I had the privilege and the honor of attending Anime NYC with Rafael Tavares and his daughter. So it was a
oh,
blast hanging out with them.
wonderful.
I had a wonderful time. I mean, we saw a bunch of artists. It always amazes me the amount of talent there are at these conventions. I mean, you always get the big name studios, but I like Artist Alley the best. It's so cool to see
Yes.
what people are doing, on their own, independent of these big name companies. It's so cool. But
Yes.
my biggest win this weekend on Sunday was going to play NYC and interfacing with the independent gaming folks down who are developing different games.
Oh
So I had
yeah,
a
that was on the bottom floor, right? I
Yeah.
went there
Mhm.
also. Yeah, they also had a lot of retro game cabinets too. That was also really fun and free
yep.
to play.
Yep. Yeah, I'm a developer, so this is a great opportunity for me to network, and I got a hold of a couple groups. Gumbo was one.
Oh,
The other was the Independent Game Developers Association was the other. So I am looking forward to making more connections. This is an exciting opportunity for me. So I really enjoyed being at that con yesterday. It was great.
Yeah, it was a
yeah,
blast.
definitely. Yep.
Phew, so fun.
I want to
I,
say this though, like, oh, sorry. Yeah, I want to mention though about the convention experience. I feel like it's definitely like a good way to like really meet new people. Whether you're creative, whether you're like whether you're a fan or whether you're just starting to learn about the business. Honestly, like it's called a convention, but again, the methods can be very unconventional, especially if you're pursuing a specific career. Especially if you're pursuing like manga, comics, or anime, or even video games. And I think the fun about being at a convention also is seeing like how much the fans love these works.
Oh, definitely.
Just being able, and just being able to like again like what we're seeing here cosplaying. That
oh,
that I think is the biggest thank you to us as creators, and hopefully starting out, especially since we're starting out as independents, it's like hopefully we can be able to like see what we create become something that people will love and recreate.
artists in reference to, I think was their name was Angel. Yeah, the artist alley. Oh, it was crazy. Like I've been to different artist alleys so far since moving back to New York City, and the major ones in the Javits Center are like the largest. I was with my boyfriend. We were waving in and out because I'm an independent. Oh, okay. I didn't really introduce. I'm an independent cartoonist, and I love indie art. I love indie comics especially. And Artist Alley is always my favorite place to go because I like to see other people's works. I like to support them. Get a print, get a charm, that kind of stuff. And it was really packed this year. Really, lots of energy. There were crowds throughout the Artist Alley part, which you don't really see a lot, but this time it was super crowded at the Artist Alley part. We were weaving in and out of people trying to look at like different venues and stuff. But it was great, like seeing artists getting like, seen more, not just that bag, but also like, getting connections and stuff. And I think it's really positive to see fans contributing back to what has influenced them.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree upon that because at
Good.
least for me, when I go to Artist Alley, it's very inspirational seeing so many like different ideas in the skill and then seeing someone draw live, which is like that's amazing. It's really for me, it was really educational, and that's what gave me pretty much my uh, education on how to do uh, or how to participate in art cell and the tools you're going to need. So that way, you'll be, better prepared, and then if you do one, you get good at it because you're learning along the way, and you're seeing other people do their thing, and then you're like learning how to apply some of the stuff that you see. So yeah, artificial is definitely a good spot to be.
I think I really
Yeah, and
need to
I.
start walking my. I have to start walking my dog in cosplay with a backpack. That way, I know I can get endurance to
Oh my
do a whole
goodness.
show.
Oh my
Yo,
God. Seeing the dogs,
I've
there were
always
dogs
said something.
there.
I'm sorry. Wait, I don't know if this is on actually.
It's on.
Hello. Oh, sorry. I didn't mean to
Yeah, we can
talk
hear
over.
you loud and clear.
Like immediately thought about dog and cosplay, and I was like, the first thing I wanted to do, I think if I ever got a dog, was to make my dog carry a sword like Sif, like from Dark Souls, like the
You know
great.
what? I think that's an even bigger form of flattery for from software and Miyazaki.
I mean, yeah, From Software is another one of my like greater inspirations. So it would be funny. It has all of the things that I just listed about action and horror, so like all rolled into one. So,
Yeah.
so I find it to
You know,
be very entertaining.
I think the thing about being an artist alley really is that whether somebody's, new to the game or if they're already an established professional, honestly, just talking to the artist, can at least like give them some type of moral support, especially like, if you're giving them, words of encouragement. And I think especially being in this field, a lot of people will definitely need that, especially with, the state of the world right now.
I
I
definitely
mean,
agree because we are in a recession. No matter how much the news tries to like ignore it, we're in a recession, and it's not
definitely.
never been a more crucial time to support the artists that you admire. Like even just like a little print or even just like connecting with them, something to show that like besides the algorithm being against artists and stuff, just to show that there is still solidarity.
I mean, yeah,
Yes.
100%. I mean, that is something that is. I mean, I've experienced like the last, like this con at like Brooklyn. I can't remember what it was called to save the life
It
of me
was
because I'm bad
Anitomo.
with big Anitomo. So
Yeah, I was
like,
And
thinking
yeah,
there
Tomo.
so
too.
John had like taken me to like Anitomo, so, which was like something that, like, I mean, him as like being like a mentor figure towards me, was a great experience because I get to actually see how my work actually does translate to people because I tend to be a little bit hard on myself when it comes to like art. So like it's nice to be in a community where like everyone is also hard on themselves but also see like the value in your work. It's like it's nice, honestly.
Yeah. And I think at the same time too, we're at an age right now where you don't necessarily don't have to, like be great at the fundamentals. Yes, that's important. But I think what's most important is if you have a vision, if you have a story that you want to get out there, you know what? Sometimes you just gotta go against the odds, like go against what conventional thinking really is, and you know what? Just get your work out there.
Yeah,
I think again, like I love to bring this up as an example for anybody I'm talking to that's an artist, or whether I'm talking to my students. You know what? Look at one and his creation, One Punch Man. you necessarily don't have to be the best artist, to make it out there. As long as you make a good story, as long as you entertain people with it and people like it in return, you'll eventually find your footing in the industry. And I think one of the best things that happened to one was that even a lot of established mangaka in Japan, especially Yusuke Murata, reached out to him and wanted to work with him. And I think, we want to do this for love, but at the same time, if you want to get your work out there, and especially make this your living, I think the biggest accomplishment that anybody could do is have somebody up there compliment their work and like even take a chance at making their work come a lot more alive than it already is. And I wish that we could use more of that, in this country or like even around the world too.
100%, honestly, I agree.
If I may add something to that, I know the writer and creator One. Also, what I do appreciate is that he didn't just rely on other creators to draw for him, because when you look at Mob Psycho 100, he actually did do the art himself, and he pushed himself to get better. And I feel like in the time of like AI art and stuff, I feel like people need more incentive to be like, just pick up the pencil, just make it exist. You can make it better later.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
And like, I like the fact that like, I mean, I remember reading Gantz, and like, in the end of Gantz, the author was also like very vocal about like his way of actually like animating his work in the manga, and like because he used 3D models to print into like his 2D. I think he was doing 3D landscapes, and he had 2D characters running in the 3D landscapes or something like that. It was weird, but it was like really cool because like it kind of was able to do these visuals. And I like the fact that like when you make things like when you make things like that, you're willing to go like when you're an artist, you're always willing to go like the extra mile whenever you do pick up a pencil for like what you're trying to do. And it always like stuff like Gantz and like things of that nature, when you're kind of pulling things out of like the norm, I think, or something out of like the norm. It's like a lot of people like didn't really see the vision at first, and I believe that it still gets controversy because it's really weird. But like it's an overall fun series, and I kind of like find myself to be like always trying to like imitate like the imagination behind works such as like Gantz. And like, because I mean, my first manga was like Berserk, so
That's
That's
a
a
heavy
very
manga.
interesting.
Jesus.
That's a very interesting first manga.
I was gonna say that's an interesting
Like
way
mine,
to start off.
my first was manga with like the big O. What do you mean yours was Berserk?
it looked like I thought. To be honest with you, at 8 years old, I was really liking Attack on
worse.
Titan.
Oh,
Right? I looked
Wow.
up Attack on Titan's manga, and I was like, nah, this is boring. I want to know about Cyborg guy, because I kept on seeing this little cyborg character. And like the first issue of Berserk, he low-key looks like a cyborg. So I'm like, I want to know about this. And then from there on, I've been like a big Berserk fan since I was 8. Like that was literally how that happened. I was,
Yeah.
Well, in all fairness, to your credit, my generation can't really talk too much about being exposed to like a type of manga because,
that is true.
Yeah, like
like I
Henry
said,
Generation, Ninja
like
Scrolls.
like me being like 12 years old watching Shinjuku Demon City and watching a guy getting split in half by a sword
I know, that
in
was
like the first
awesome.
like few minutes, you know.
My,
That was
my
some
first
awesome
my
stuff.
first anime, my brother-in-law had bought these bootleg copies of the OVA of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure
Oh,
when like
the
they
stuff
landed in
from the
Egypt.
80s?
I was like, no, yeah, I was like 9 when I saw it, and I thought it was like the dopest stuff. And I was like, wow, it just changed my mind forever. And then after that, I saw like Akira and Ghost in the Shell because I was seeing all this like mature stuff. So maybe I shouldn't talk about that.
Yeah, I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
yeah, when I tell people that initially, I get it because like Berserk is like it's like giving
My
like a
friend Heath.
5-year-old like technically I might as well had read Spawn at that age if I read Berserk at that age, which I did read Spawn at that age. But
I mean, you know what?
I was a kid that liked reading books, and that was kind of just the way how I how I did things. I was always reading books as a kid.
I
Sorry,
find this also.
Drake.
Yeah, sorry about that. You know what? I actually want to, since we're talking about mature works as well, it's just amazing that, once something mature goes mainstream, it's like the thing that I tend to notice that it kind of gets dumbed down a little bit. Um, a great example would actually be The Mask, from the 90s. Because
Oh,
originally, that
Oh,
was a very dark
wonderful.
series,
Oh, I'm
especially with
happy
the
to
amount
hear
of
that.
gore. Yeah, yeah, like the amount of
Con-
gore that the comic had, especially. But
so I
then
got a
once it
controversial opinion about that, but continue.
Yeah, yeah. So, so once it got picked up as a Hollywood movie, then that tone, the tone changed completely from, dark, violent, gory to just slapstick cartoon humor. And it's like, what? I think even if sometimes properties get toned down along the way, whether it's from comic to movie or, comic to television or whatever, it's like, what? At least it'll serve as the gateway entry to what eventually, you know, is the medium or the genre of, more things to come.
True.
It's like
well,
I think
actually,
especially
that
here in
happened.
America,
Yes,
I'm
Henry?
sorry, what I wanted to
Go
actually
ahead.
mention too was
Yeah,
that like
yeah.
what I don't like, like especially here in America, is that censorship is just so heavy to the point where it's like
Very
sometimes
true.
it just loses the essence of what the original intention was.
All right.
I
Yeah, I
think Henry
agree.
Yeah,
wanted to
but
say something. Yes, Henry?
yeah, go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was gonna say, like, it's true. Like, once you mention that, there is a pattern. And it made me actually think about Batman because Batman actually used to carry a gun first.
Oh yeah, he was
Pretty,
hanging the Joker from his freaking helicopter.
pretty crazy. So and then the guy, I think I'm not sure if it was called DC Comics or Action Comics at the time, but I remember them saying like, oh, the manager stepped in and was like, oh, like we want kids to see this, so take the gun away from him and make him go like a battering or something like that. And I was like, oh wow, and then
Well,
it became this big thing. So I guess in a way it did work out, but it did take away from the the original, I guess, aspect of the story. But at the same
mm,
time, I guess, the good part is now we don't really have to like water down our stuff because manga is inherently a very mature, well, most of the time, it can be a very mature subject matter
Yep.
that's not really meant for kids, but it'll still like blow up and it'll still be this amazing thing. Thankfully, Image Comics doesn't do that. They welcome mature audience based work like
Right.
Walking Dead and Spawn
And
and
Spawn and V for
Invincible.
Vendetta.
Yeah, Invincible. All of them are like they're amazing stories, but they're not watered down.
Hmm.
So yeah, yeah, you're right about that. But I
Um,
guess it's a weird 50-50 situation.
I
I do
mean,
have a.
what I
Oh,
was. Oh,
go on.
sorry.
No, you go on
So,
first.
I must say, because I was saying before that I had a slightly controversial opinion about the mask. It was so. Hear me out, and please don't kill me later, Drake. But um, I actually like the fact that the mask was watered down into slapstick comedy,
It
only
yeah,
absolutely
because
yeah.
is.
only
No,
because of the
I enjoyed
fact
it.
right, only because of the fact that the mask is it's a slight bad version. It's like something that kind of just exists. It's like Ichi the Killer to me. Like a little bit of a less better version of what Ichi the Killer was. I also must also tell everybody upon this stream. I did not tell you to read Ichi the Killer. I also did not tell you that it was good.
I
I
can post a
Yeah,
also
link.
all I said was that the mask was less better than Ichi the Killer, objectively, in my opinion. I didn't say anything about Ichi
yeah,
the Killer. Okay, even though
yeah,
even
yeah,
though that tends to be my thing. The thing about the thing about our set, which makes things a little weird, I think, when it comes to making things into movies, and which probably is the reason why, as I get older, I seem to actually watch less television in general, is because of the fact that well, if it's a movie, it's gonna be watered down,
Mhm.
Because, and I mean, I'm a type of person that likes psychological things. I tend to like philosophical stories. I like psychological horrors. I like monsters. I like a bunch of stuff. So like, I like that kind of like area and going. When it comes to censorship, you can't say everything that you want to say the same way in a
Yeah.
book, in the same way how you could say it like upon the TV screen. Because look at it like Attack on Titan for a second. Like Attack on Titan had a bunch of like militaristic symbolism, right? They were heavily militaristic since the beginning. That scene in the
Yes.
beginning with them all like saluting and holding their chest or whatever, that is, he didn't pull that out the ether. That is a historically known for being a militaristic power, like nationalism type of
Yeah,
symbol,
yeah,
right?
it was
And
it
it's
it was pretty fashy.
right. No, 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 no. I mean,
Yes.
it could be a kid. It's we're not talking about fascism. We're
I
talking
know.
about
Oh yeah.
nationalism. They're too similar, but they're like lines in the sand. Okay, lines in the sand. All right.
Oh yeah, yeah, I
It's
know that.
just
I'm just saying, like, there was
lines in
like
the
a
sand.
fine line, a very,
Right,
Yeah.
but
but that was the
But
very point of the series, though. It's like, but that was but the problem with censorship is like one of the reasons is that he ends up the author is end up like to is compelled to like kind of drop those idea to drop that idea of things or whatever instead of like continuing those kind of ideas towards the end of the series, which I did not fully finish Attack on Titan, so I can't fully say how this ends or whatever. I just know I didn't like where it was going. But like you have, but my entire point is it's like with censorship, the beauty of it or whatever, and the beauty of like comic books and written work is the fact that your art and what you're saying has a better chance of being picked up exactly the way how you want it to be said, for better and
yeah.
for worse. It has a higher chance because you happen
Yes.
to be able to say more and do more than it being 5 movies about the one book that you've made.
uh,
Yeah.
it
And I
actually,
also oh
Oh, Kayla wanted to say something, Drake.
yes,
yeah, yeah, go for it. Go for it.
I actually have a bit of a rebuttal when it comes to that, because I do know, like, you guys don't like when things are dumbed down for kids, but in some cases, it does help the series kind of expand more. Like, we've seen what happened with Mutant Ninja Turtles,
Yeah,
how
it
they went from
shifted
an
it
Exactly.
indie comic.
Exactly.
100%.
But another thing is that actually what really revolutionized the comic book industry besides DC and Marvel was Scholastic. And I'm
Right.
in Kidlit. My comic is literally all ages. And yeah, Scholastic almost wiped out everything because at the time DC and Marvel were only focusing on adults. And
Yeah.
Scholastic's like, you got a whole demographic of children and teenagers because manga appealed to teenagers, and DC's like, why aren't they coming to Cape Comics? Because they didn't really have that much genre. It's just hardened, superhero against hardened criminal, rinse and repeat. But manga
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
all these different demographics, including stuff for girls, which was unseen, which is only when DC went, oh, we're losing money here. We better appear to the girls. And then
Wonder
you had DC
Woman.
superhero girls, like, yeah, Wonder Woman.
The
Yeah, let's
woman.
say that was for girls. But I'm just saying, like, there is a big market for young adult fiction and middle grade fiction. Like, you know what game actually changed that? Five Nights at Freddy's. It got so
Really?
pop, kids got into it. Now, mind you, this was a teen
Damn.
rated thing. Kids got really into it to the point where Scholastic signed up a deal with Scott Cawthon to print graphic novels based off his novels. It showed
If
that kids could handle mild gore, they could handle things like violence, murder, and stuff, but to a degree. But it did kind of expand the edge of horror, kind of like what Goosebumps did. And then what Five Nights at Freddy's did was
oh,
expand it
I
further,
loved Goosebumps growing
and
up.
now horror
You know,
kidlit authors are able to push their boundaries because the boundary has been pushed further for them.
I
Yeah,
also want to
Drake
add
was
this in. Yeah, like I want to add this into Kayla's statement too about Five Nights at Freddy's.
Mhm.
Also, what I noticed too, especially when I'm teaching manga for my students, that especially with properties like Demon Slayer, you know that even though it's a Shonen Jump manga, there are a lot of graphic and mature elements in the manga and the anime, but it does have a very large youth audience to it, and it's
right.
like what. I like the fact that kids nowadays are able to handle, like very, very mature subjective matter,
Kids
to the point
kids
where it's like,
like
honestly, we don't
horror.
have to really hide. yeah, like we don't have to hide this from them anymore, you know. And I think looking back on what we were exposed to, it's like, okay, you know what, you know, especially like, you know, as you get older, you start discover, you know, going down a rabbit hole where you discover like, okay, again, like the origin of Ninja Turtles. This was not supposed to be a kids TV show at all, but because of the marketing potential behind it, you know, that's when it's like, okay, we have to modify a few things to make it more appealing to a much wider audience.
I mean,
And
You know,
that,
it's the backstory of regular show, if I'm not mistaken. It was supposed to
yes.
air on Adult Swim, but then it
Mm-hmm.
got put over to Cartoon Network because they didn't have enough shows on Cartoon Network. But what I
uh,
was gonna say also, is like this point that I wanted to make when Kayla said that censorship is good from time to time. Is
Well, it's
like,
not
yeah,
about
oh
censorship. I
yeah,
think it's
like
more about
I
like formatting it for a wider
right.
audience.
I agree because of the sense of this. Like one of the bad sides about reading Berserk at a really young age is that it makes you very pessimistic of before you're supposed to be pessimistic. So
yeah,
like,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
I always have like this kind of like funny saying when it comes to like, you know, when my nephew is like, I mean, no, when my brother is talking about my nephew's developing, which is don't let your child start asking you, don't ever answer the meaning of life questions that your kid asks or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Not that my nephew asks these questions, but he's a little bit like me in the sense that he's reading Edgar Allan Poe and he's like 6. So like so
Okay,
like the apples
that's
don't fall
pretty deep.
far from the tree in our family where we decide to read books at like at like a really young age and then get into reading dark books at a really young age. So I say all this to say basically you don't introduce your kids to Nietzsche to Nietzsche to ideas similar to Nietzsche, okay? Like we all need to have some level of censorship. I mean, as somebody who also
yeah,
writes in like a young adult but also writes for teenagers, currently have a story that like I want it to be marketed towards teens, right? Like because I started it when I was a teenager. Um as somebody who wants that, hello? Everything went quiet for a second.
Oh,
Yeah,
we're
go ahead.
here.
I'm
We're just
back on
listening to
right
you.
Oh,
now.
sorry. As somebody who started it from like when I was a teenager and I wanted to have to go towards teenagers and stuff, you know, making things a little brighter, I mean, adding, you know, because of the fact that, you know, sometimes you should just, even though we should allow our stuff to be gritty and as gory as we want it to, depending on your audience, or whatever, especially if you're somebody like me and you like to write with darkness, you know,
Yes,
it doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt to let the guy go home to see his wife every now and again, you know,
yeah,
get the
yeah. You
character
know,
a dog or something.
Well, I would say when it comes to creating all these stories, the one thing that we still have to remember is being authentic to the storytelling that we like, right?
Definitely, definitely.
Because
yeah,
as Stan Lee said, if you have a story and you like it, eventually other people will like it.
100%. I
yeah,
agree
And
100%.
yeah,
I
so
think
you know,
whether you want to tell a story about that's more similar to like Pokemon and like these cute little animals that just have these battles and everybody goes home, that's fine. Uh, just as long as that's something you genuinely want to do and it's coming from your heart. Or if you want to tell a darker story about a knight fighting all angels and demons or whatever, and it's dark and it's gritty and it's like the Seven Rings or whatever, that's also cool. Just as long as
Right.
it's coming from you,
A hundred
and
percent.
you like it, then it's fine. Don't worry about the censorship. We're artists. That's TV people's problem.
I
We
think
yeah,
do
Yeah, that was like
I
that's partially my point also, and I'm saying like as long as it comes from like your heart, it's cool. I'm just
yeah,
saying because of the sense of like there is stuff that is out there. There is manga that is out there that is just dark for no reason because they're trying to
yeah,
appeal to a dark audience and like they don't
mhm.
have the actual writing potential for, I mean not writing potential, but like they're not that guy. Like they're not those people.
no.
Like
Well,
there's a
what you're
difference
talking, I know what
between
you're talking about. Yeah, that's like, well, we
it's
have
like
that
the
in America too.
mask.
That's
No, it's like the
yeah, it's
first
like
mask.
yeah, that's like horror. That's like horror movies that are just gory. It doesn't have like a
Hmm.
story to it. It's just being gory for the sake of it, and it doesn't like I don't know. It's like it's not trying to tell you something. It's trying to show you something. Like who
Right.
who can be the first to do the most visceral things. And there's definitely anime like that. I remember watching one called Straight Jacket, and it was like it had some interesting concepts, but then it was like doing kills in ways that was like super unnecessary. And I was like, oh, like, and I never wanted to watch it again because it was like distasteful. And this is coming from someone who's watched Friday the 13th. I've watched Freddy Krueger.
Right.
I've watched Who Kills an Underworld Evolution and all these things. And this one's like, oh man, I can't watch this. You know, it's just killing
Yeah.
for the sake of killing.
I know,
You know?
when it comes to writing for kids, also, you don't always have to dumb things down. In my comic, actually, that someone actually, I've had a lot of people who read my comic for kids, Numa Vita, that actually said that I do portray the plight of like working class families because I grew up in poverty. And like, I know a lot of kids who grew up in poverty, having to have a parent that had to still work even though they were sick, or even though they were physically not able to work anymore, but they still had to make, money for the, bread on the table.
Right.
And there's a lot of issues that kids do know in real life, and it feels validating to kind of express that in a kid's story to make them feel less alone. Like there's comics that deal with, like, even cartoons, like Infinity Train talked about divorce, where the family does not get back together, but in a way that helps kids come to terms with it.
Right.
Kids are more intelligent than people take them for. That doesn't mean that you should expose them to like crazy stuff. What I mean is that you want to teach them how to interact with the world, but you also want to speak to them on their own level.
Yeah.
Right. So like what I was gonna say, 1 second, I'm sorry, Drake. I'll make this quick because I know I've been talking for a while.
No problem.
Like basically what I meant by like, something shouldn't be like should be like, censored and stuff like that. No, like 100%, because if you ever look at it, well, the success behind Astro Boy was. I've read Astro Boy. That is communist to the 100%, and that is the most kid show. That is the most kiddiest manga you could ever read. It's more child friendly than friggin' Sonic, I think.
It also came after World War II, so
Right. So
yeah.
I mean, but there's a difference. Like, there's a difference between making a child manga based. I mean, and like something being Astro Boy, and then something being like No Longer Human. There's a complete total difference, and both of those are technically manga. Now I found out that my favorite author of recent is actually made No Longer Human into a manga, which I am scared to read because of the fact that I've read the book and I relate too heavily to the book. So now I'm fine. So I'm like, oh, there's a manga, and I'm gonna put this at the bottom of my list because I don't want to actually read it until like I'm in a way better place in life. Probably 30. Probably 30.
I do want to mention now. Oh, sorry.
Oh no.
Yeah,
Go.
Mochi. So I think since we're on the theme of manga now, right? And talking about themes, what what these creations express. You know what? I actually do want to talk about this, if it's okay with you, Rafi. If we can start talking about like our own original works that we're doing.
I was going to do that, but you guys got into this beautiful conversation, and I was trying not to cut you guys off.
Oh, I'm
As
so
you can
sorry,
tell,
sir.
I put
I'm
up
so
your
sorry,
work
Raph.
ages ago because I figured you guys would jump into it.
Oh, I'm so very
Yeah,
sorry.
my break is my
whoever
break is almost over, so I definitely should
Oh,
get going.
you'll be next, Henry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. So actually, I do have two of my books with me right now that I want to talk about. So the first one that I'm holding up is the first manga I self-published, called The Supernova Gods, and basically this is just a one-shot. But what I want to say about this book is that this is actually based on my experiences, coming as a manga, creator, and like I'll just show a little bit of what's going on. I cannot give spoilers here, unfortunately, but I think in terms of themes and what I wanted to express in this book is just the feeling of being left behind and feeling that you're not good enough.
Right.
Yeah, and I feel like, especially like us as artists, and creators too, it's just like really hard, especially like when you see so many people, no matter what industry you're in, be it not even just comics, but also in the medical field, the science field, the teaching field, I think, and this is something that I'm going to be very open about. I do get jealous very easily, not because I'm jealous of the person's success, but rather because I feel left behind to a huge degree. But I think with the amount of support that I've been getting from everybody here, it's like, what? It's thanks to you guys that I've been able to push through this. And another book that I want that I want to showcase is After You. Yeah, and the theme that I wanted to touch upon in this book is actually toxic relationships. Yeah, so again, I'll just show a few pages of what's going on. Yeah, and if you guys have seen The Heart Monster, then yeah, like I don't want to make things blatantly obvious that they were a couple per se, but at the same time, the thing that I like about making as a creator is that you can use figurative language to describe what's really going on. I think something that I do like about manga, especially is that everything doesn't have to be blatantly obvious, and I like that sometimes it'll be up to the audience to figure out like what is their interpretation of that particular series that the author is creating. So I also want to mention too, with the Supernova Gods, this is on sale in the tri-state area. This has actually been doing pretty well over at Forbidden Planet, right by Union Square. After You right now is mostly being sold at conventions, but I am planning to put this into retail pretty soon, especially if you can find an indie comic shop, in the New York, New Jersey area, that will be plans for the future.
Yep.
Okay.
Beautiful.
So now that I'm done, who would like to go next?
Henry should go next because he has to go. So Henry, go ahead and talk to the people about your good stuff.
Sure. Thank you. So basically, I just finished a manga called Night Watcher, and it is. I got the idea from it a long time ago. Back, I want to say when I was like, I want to say 19, 20, and I was like trying to figure out how to go about making a horror thing because I still live with my parents. My parents were like heavy Christians, so they was like, I just had to play it cool. But now that I grew up and I'm a grown man, I could tell the story the way I want to. And years passed, and then I was like, I started watching CSI, and I was like, man, that's really cool. And so I thought to myself, wait a minute, no one's ever made a horror slash CSI supernatural universe, and it just blew up in my head, and I was like, I have to put this in paper. So eventually, I started drawing it. It took me, I want to say, maybe 5 or 6 months because I worked full time. But eventually, I was able to do it, and then I was blessed. I went to the convention, and I was able to practically sell out of my manga over there, or mangaka. I guess maybe that's the term for it. And it's a very interesting take on things because I also was inspired by American Gods, which it's about
That series.
the mythology from everywhere has its own realness to it. So in this manga that I created, uh, all the detectives have some type of ethnical background, whether it be from Europe, whether it be from Mexico or Africa, and they have basically united to try and figure out how to catch and detain criminals that use magic or have used some type of magic weapon. And how do you track that and the difficulties of tracking down killers who have figured out ways to almost like get underneath the systems that would basically bypass anything that we have today. And and I feel like there's something in there a little bit for everyone. I didn't try to cater to everyone. I just because I'm a New Yorker and I've grown up around Mexicans, Latinos, and Asians, Africans, people from different places. I've learned all this stuff, and the book is kind of representing, I guess, a little bit of my growing up in the city and having friends from all these different boroughs and all these different nationalities, and then kind of putting them into my manga. And I want to shout out to my friend. I'm not sure if she's off color about it, but she's like this fiery Latin lady, older, good friend of mine. And like I kind of put a character in there that has some of her traits, of wanting to catch criminals, and she has a little bit of an attitude. And it turned out that a lot of people actually like that character. So I'll definitely be visiting more of that. And if I see you scrolling there, it's the one that has the ninja and the Oni in the cover. That's the cover for the next issue that's coming out. So I just finished that up, and that should be available sometime in either mid or late September. And that one's really like a backstory introducing the newest addition to the team because he's a rookie, and he's where you get your hero arc, where you have that one character who's kind of starting from not want to necessarily say zero, but like a low point, and he has so much potential because he has all these skills, but he doesn't know how to do it yet. He's still learning how to achieve and get new heights and get more powerful. So I have a lot in common with that character in terms of like being the new guy, or maybe the youngest, because I'm the youngest in my family, and coming into this house where I want to achieve what all my older brothers and sisters have, or be able to accomplish, and being able to do it in my own way. So that's my story. That's my manga. Should once again should be available between mid late September, and I'll be posting it on my Instagram.
Um,
Okay.
okay. So
Hi.
what's next?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes, hi.
Hello.
Alright.
So my name's I mean so my Instagram is Kayla Konnichibot, but I also have my own portfolio site and my webcomic site. Yeah, this is my portfolio site. And yes, I am a Ringo and Eisner nominated cartoonist. I was previously published as a illustrator for Faith L. Justice's middle grade novel Kokoyo, the Samurai's Daughter. And I was also a contributor to the Ringo and Eisner nominated anthology of 2023, Sensory Life on the Spectrum. I'm autistic, by the way. And yes, that's a part of my identity that I like to put into my work. And I also work on one special current comic, which is my current web comic that I only printed chapter one of, even though it's already on like chapter two. And yes, I kind of draw the character a bit. That's the main character. And it's basically in a toxic fungal infested earth, humanity has secluded itself in cities where the pollen count is a little bit less, but it's still there. The atmosphere is compromised. So everybody's wearing gas masks basically to breathe. And her father actually is an asthmatic who has to work in a factory that does not have as much filtration as other buildings. So basically, she finds from a book that someone is supposed to burn that there is a plant that could possibly help her father's asthma, but it is far out in the city, and she has no idea what is even outside of the city because that's all she's grown up with. And I like to explore post apocalyptic genres through the eyes of a child and what's considered normal and living under military oppression.
Okay. So I guess I'm last. So I had so I don't know if I did it before because I had a bunch of technological like what do you call it, like confusion when I
Technological issues.
yeah, technological
Yeah,
issues. Thank you,
tech
John.
issues.
So I had a lot of tech issues, like just like trying to get on, but I did put down my Instagram. It's loner underscore wanderer. There's like a little astronaut that looks like my thing. There we go. Okay, so as you can see, my work is like a little dark. So what I'm currently working on in comparison to I like to do a lot of concept work also, and a lot of practice, and I like to post a lot of my practice work. Um, so that like image is actually going to be a later image used in my comic called Machine Gun Symphony. It's a one shot right now, but it's essentially about a son of like it's like a son of like a witch basically, and in this universe it takes place around a witch trial that kind of happened. that was basically swept under the rug by an organization that basically repurposed like, some of the witches to hunt down like supernatural and paranormal activities, and also they kill off like any witch that deserts it because you don't really have a choice if you're born a witch. You have to serve the organization. I had originally invented it because John wanted me to make one shots, and I am a long term storyteller, so I was like, screw it, I'm gonna start a new series. That's actually from another one of my stories too. Something that I'm currently working on. Um, so, but basically, what I'm working on now, which kind of has more ground, because like I said before, I've been working on the world that I've been the current world that I've been working on since like I was like 14 or whatever is um Good News Midnight, which is like a spin-off of like this book series that I was writing that was for like The Wanderer. It was called The Wanderer, where it basically has the same magic system where it kind of is a little based on where you're born and your heritage. And so you in that series it's about basically where the main character came from and like where the main character came from, where he started off basically from this world, but then he was taken into like another world, and he was born under a spider goddess, like a spider goddess type of thing, and she basically raised him in this tribe of people. However, he was like he's different because of the fact that he was like isekai. So he's trying to navigate this new world, and he's also trying to understand like the magic of this world, and also trying to find himself a greater purpose because he realizes that he wasted his last life because of the fact that he didn't actually give into the talents that he actually had in this life, you know. So I don't sense it. Sorry, I have a lot of like just random work there. um um
Oh no, I'm just showing off your work, so you can keep talking. You don't have to stop and talk about whatever I'm putting up.
sorry.
Stop.
Go
So
ahead.
basically, the way how the magic system works, like I said, it has a lot to do with your heritage. So like some people get their power from like the sun, and they also are able to use this power to channel like their ancestors, while others have like basically avatar powers where they still get their powers from the sun. Other get their powers from food. Other people are able to use like their lineage and connections to the dragons or to dragons and things of that nature. And everybody is able to kind of exist in this world that is different, but still has a unifying code or a unifying trait. And so it's him trying to really understand his place in this world and in this world because he didn't understand his place in the last world, and he's just simply trying to get better. And he finds that he's really good at strategy.
That is a complex system that you have there.
Yeah, it's been like I think how long have I been in high school? Like, what's the time frame between high school and now? It's like 7 years. So like that's a 7-year-old world that's currently been working on. It originally
And
I'm a writer first, so that's like the funny
yeah,
thing.
and
Yeah,
I
I know
think you
my.
know what? Oh,
Go on.
sorry. Yeah, I actually want to say because I might be leaving pretty soon anyway, Rafi. I want to say thank you for this amazing opportunity. To interview all of us
Oh, no
tonight.
problem. You guys had a great
Yeah,
conversation. That's why I wasn't stopping you because you guys were
Thank
going
you.
yeah,
over the
yeah.
conversation.
Yeah, and I think you know what? I think especially like that in this day and age, like even despite the times that we live in right now, especially with how bad the financial situation is, you know what? Let's take advantage of the fact that we have the internet, we have social media, as
Exactly.
toxic as it can be, to get our works out there. And I think especially too, years ago you would not think about, actually getting your work out there, mainly because a lot of it was done in Hollywood. But now you don't really have to travel anymore, and it's pretty much a global game at this point. You
Yep.
know, so I would say, especially now that we have this opportunity, it's like, you know what, no matter, I would say that, especially as a creator, when you're approaching this, don't worry about making it good. you can make it as wacky as you want. We want to see what you can express in your work, and hopefully from there, gain an audience. And as a creator, especially, you know, I think it's definitely important to monetize off of this as well, but don't make money the important thing, but also make the passion, make your passion the most important thing in doing this.
Right. As like somebody who has like who currently works like a job that they like don't really want, because I found out a while
Yeah,
ago that, or a good enough time ago, that I want to just write. Like that's something that I just want to do. Like I only kind of want to write and draw. And
yeah,
like I find, and then you find out that there's no real place for you if you just want to write and draw. Like
yeah,
you have to do the extra work. If it's kind of comforting to kind of have, or that to be a part of a community that is able to kind of not only understand your gripe, but also understand that like you as a person have more than just like whatever your daytime job is, whether it's like writing analytics on a computer, or driving around, or like driving people around, or stuff like whatever you're doing, or flipping burgers at Burger King. Like, because in the end of the day, it's a means to an end. We live in like a
yeah,
system that is like not great towards us, and I don't know if there will ever be a system that's great for the artist, because the artist is always the person at the bottom. But
yeah,
Well, we always say the same thing here. You got to pay for the dream somehow. So
exactly,
yeah,
sometimes
exactly.
you got to get the
yeah,
extra job to
You gotta
get the
pay for
dream
the
going.
cake, and at this point in time, I'm just hoping that I sell enough comic books to pay for my bar tab. So
I
yeah,
know,
yeah.
but
And I think that's
one real thing though, being an artist does not automatically make you a good writer. I
it
had to
does
learn this the hard way because with my webcomic, I was working on the script of the next chapter. And I was like, okay, I need an actual good beta reader. And my good friend, who's a webcomic writer actually helped proofread his name is Hayes. So shout out to him. He's a really great writer, and he helped proofread it and helped tell me how to shorten it because he specializes in writing for a visual medium, knowing what to cut out. And it's like, yeah, a lot of artists that go for it automatically think, well, art's the backbone of it. So I don't need
well.
my story can just be whatever I want, but it has to be cohesive. A comic is a storytelling aspect
I
and you do need to make it make sense.
I will say
you
this
know.
as
I also, oh,
oh sorry. You want
I
to go?
actually want to. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, Mochi. If anything, because I might. Yeah, Rafi, I might actually have to leave like
So
pretty
Drake,
soon.
you
Um,
may have to leave in a minute. So why don't you tell the people one more time where they can find you and all the good stuff? That way
yes.
that'll be your outro out of here. So tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram .com Boku Dragon Pro. So it's BOKU DRAGON PRO. You can also read my works under Manga Plus by Shueisha. Yeah, so I have a lot of my manga that I've done on uploaded onto that website. And again, you can buy my books over at Forbidden Planet as well as Anna's Comics and Teaneck. What else? Manifest Comics in Bayonne, Fantasy Based Story in Bayonne as well. And yeah, hopefully pretty soon more books will be released around the area. And what I wanted to say as a final, as a final outro, is that I feel like, especially with how things are nowadays, and I hope that especially with how Scholastic is doing their business, comic is not just making comics is not just superheroes, but it's a
Mhm.
storytelling medium, and I feel like this medium, is definitely one of the best, whether you're a writer or an artist, to express one's ideas and themes and what they want to convey to the world. Before it's like I don't like how the global perception of American comics that it's mainly just superheroes. It shouldn't be about that at all. But it should, like I said before, it should be a medium that should, where you should take advantage of your story and artistic skills.
100%. I agree. I
Completely agree.
100% agree. Yeah. I was saying this before. I was saying this to like jump off of Kayla's point a little bit. I found out or whatever very early as somebody who picked up both traits in like a relatively short period of time of one another, because I had picked up writing as a way to cope in like high school, and then I had was gaslighted into drawing by my art teacher from high school. Also, shouts out to Miss S. I don't know if this is gonna reach her, but because she was quite an older woman when she started, so
Yeah.
and she started gaslighting me, and we fell out of contact. But you know, having that experience and basically being like, and she was basically, okay, if you don't want to draw, then don't draw. Then I'm not sure if you even can draw. And I was just like, I can draw. So,
like Omni-Man, are you sure?
right. So like, like somebody who has been on both sides of the road, writing. As from one writer to another writer, writing is one of the hardest hobbies that you can pick. Like you're better
Yeah.
off. At times, I have been looking at my computer and I stared at my computer and the words at my computer, and like I've not only felt like an imposter, I've also felt like a fraud for a little bit. I've also felt like a bunch of other things, because of the fact that you just when you draw a blank, you draw a blank, and you're not able to really do anything once you draw that blank. So it's like, damn. Excuse me, I don't know if damn counts as a curse here.
Oh, I cursed a while ago.
Huh?
I cursed a while ago.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't know. You're the guy who runs the show. The guy who runs the show.
You remember I said I'm probably going to break the rule first because I curse. I'm the first one to curse.
I mean, the guy who runs the show usually has more leeway than the person who's a
Oh,
part.
no. Nobody has leeway. It's all the same.
Okay, all right. So I guess I'm going to get hit on the wrist eventually. Oh.
All right, Drake.
So Mochi, I do want to finish your thing first, but actually, is it okay if I can mention before I head out? Raphael, thank you so much for this opportunity, and I want to thank Mochi and Kayla and Paul for joining us tonight. This was such an amazing opportunity. We'll definitely do this again pretty soon. We want to connect with you guys very soon as well. Rappy, I can't thank you enough for how amazing the show turned out to be.
Conversation after another tonight, so
yeah.
Missed it for the world, and I was like so surprised when I heard about it, because like I'm just coming back from everything in this media is like kind of taking a 180 for me, and I'm like, geez, I gotta get on the correct train with this one, because of the fact that like I gotta start doing more of my work, because I've been like just working in like a vacuum. Like all of my art has been hitting basically the wall, and I've just been stacking stuff upon the wall or whatever. And I've started selling comics, and I was like, well, I need like a better way to do this, because apparently I'm getting to a point where people I'm reaching opportunities, especially through like John, and having John as like a mentor is actually like really great, because all of these opportunities I would never have dreamed of. I'm like 21. I just turned 21 like 2 weeks ago. I don't even think it was 2 weeks ago, and like all the experience that I've like had with him and all of like the successes I've had was high key because of him, because of like I wouldn't have been able to like get some of like the places without like to even be at the places or even know about these things without him. So he was like a really great mentor. He's a really great friend of mine. We've like been friends for like since I got out of high school, and like
thank you.
He is one of my best friends. Like he's honestly one of my best, he's literally one of my bestest friends that I've ever could even ask for. More than I could ever even ask for out of someone's friendship, honestly.
That's what you want.
So
in this organization, in this thing that we do, you want people that work with you. You want a team. You want people that raise you up.
Exactly.
Yes. And you know what? I want to say like one more final closing too. Like even despite the fact that, I mentioned one of my vices, being jealous, I think it's also important that despite that, use that jealousy to your advantage by helping yourself become a better version of yourself for tomorrow. And I think what's most important too, especially with how things are nowadays, work together as a team.
Completely agree.
Anyway,
Mochi, tell the people one more time where they can find you.
So I'm under loner_wanderer on Instagram. I you can you're free to message me there as long as you don't like I will get back to you like as soon as possible. My life is very like I said before, it's very busy and tends to be very like dynamic at times and sporadic. So like, but you can find me on Instagram at loner_wanderer. I have drawings from over the years. It's like that kind of functions as like a portfolio, but also like a compendium of works that I've done over the years. After I gotten out of high school, I had stuff on the internet from before I was in high school, but like that first page is like no longer in existence because of like technological error. So it haunts us all. um, so this page that I've had it since I was like about 16 or whatever. I have a like so I guess it's from around like I was in high school because I graduated, but still like it's more recent. It's where you can find most of my work. A lot of my best work is on that page. A lot of my best work will be on that page in the future, and basically this yeah, a lot of like at a lot of new events and stuff like that. I will try to keep in contact with a lot of my new fans. Also, in the future, it's a place where you'll be receiving updates and stuff when I have a reliable source to give my work to, or reliable source to not only give my work to, but also a secure source to kind of give my work to. Also, I have a very big fear of being pirated. So, or being copied, of having my ideas stolen. So like I tend to like I'm a little afraid about putting my stuff online because I don't know where to start. Um,
Yeah, but
yeah,
you come above that. It's a great thing because most people they can't get past that. They don't get past that fear, and they don't put anything out there. And it is a huge fear that all creators have is to put their stuff out there and then let the world see it or steal it or because we have all these thoughts. I know I have them.
but you know that like you know
We
who my
share stuff.
friends are.
Yeah, yeah.
Like with friends like
yeah,
these or whatever, with friends that I have, being afraid is like bringing two shoes to like outside. Every to them, I mean, basically, like it means nothing that you wore the wrong shoes today for them or whatever. I don't think like for a lot of it, especially with the opportunities that have been presented. I mean, with friends like these, you don't have a choice but to do what you came or what you want to actually do. Because, and again, having a friend like John, he doesn't really care if you're afraid. I remember
That's what
like
you
that
need. You need
morning.
somebody pushing
Yeah,
you forward.
I remember that morning I came running. I live in the Bronx. I came running down to Brooklyn at early in the morning, and I was like, John, I'm like nervous, and also like, did we eat anything? He's like, do we have food? And he's like, no. And I remember crushing up ramen packets and eating ramen packets while trying to sell my book. This was dry ramen, my guy.
yeah.
Your dinner.
All turned out no, it was for breakfast. So like, but it all turned out to be great because that's just a level
Yeah,
of friendship that we like have, and it's amazing.
yeah, yeah.
Because
No,
again, without having a friend like this, somebody with experience with work that's out there already before I knew him, and somebody who just is willing to like actually put into me without trying to actually exploit me, it's amazing. Like it's an amazing thing or whatever.
and I think that's what's missing in the society now.
Honestly, yeah,
You
I
know.
really do.
No, but guys, Raphael especially, thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you,
Thank
Raphael.
you so much for this opportunity.
And thank you, Paul. I
I
know
will
you
see.
didn't really talk much, but thank you for being here with us.
Yeah,
Oh, it's great meeting everybody.
yeah, hundred
Oh,
percent.
definitely.
Thanks, Paul.
Oh, Kayla, one more time before you go, tell the people where they can find you.
Okay, you can find me on Instagram at Kayla Konnichibot. I'm also on Blue Sky as Konnichibot. And you can also, if you're interested in inquiring or anything, you can check out my portfolio site, which is konnichibot.card.co. And I do say that every artist should have a proper portfolio site because in like the fact that a lot of things on the internet are not exactly permanent, it is good to have your own site. It is good to have your own site to host your works, and so that way clients and professionals can find you.
Alright. We gotta talk.
Completely
We gotta meet up more because I feel like Kayla is gonna help me a lot in the future.
Yes, definitely,
Yeah, I'm yeah,
definitely.
I'm a professional, so I can help you with that.
This makes sense. Okay, yeah.
All right,
Thank
Paul.
you
All right.
so much,
Tell the people all
Raphael.
the good stuff about yourself so that they
Yes,
can know who you are. You
yes,
know, yeah.
please.
Right.
Cool.
So,
Thanks, man.
guys, I'm gonna head out now. I'm sorry, Paul. Raphael, thank you so much for the opportunity on this. It's been a wonderful night.
Alright.
I'll see you guys soon if anything.
Later, John.
All right, later.
Later. Wait, Paul. You haven't spoken the whole time.
Yeah, he's
Wait.
about to speak. Go ahead, Paul.
So I'm Paul Hebert, creator of Time Enforcers, and Time Enforcers is an interactive digital comic role-playing video game that makes learning history fun. This
I
idea
like
came
that.
out
Ooh,
of
I love
COVID,
history.
and it was really meant to take the learning experience that I saw that my kids went through as something as a chore and make it a gamified learning experience so the kids will actually enjoy learning history. And so episode 1 is out now. It's available on the app stores. We actually have a fundraising going on as well through Fractured Atlas. So you can make a tax deductible donation to the Time Enforcers Project, and we can use that to hopefully leverage development for education-based curriculum for this game. And it's really our hope is to take the monies raised from Fractured Atlas, get $1,000 goal, $1,000 raised so that we can actually position for grants through like the National Endowment for the Humanities. So this is all really exciting stuff. We just got that Fractured Atlas sponsorship approved less than 2 weeks ago, and so we'll be actively promoting that very shortly. You can actually download episode 1 of the game. It's available on the app stores. It's for the iOS, Android, as well as for Mac and PC platforms. Just basic overview of episode 1. It's meant to be a learning experience, of course, but it's also meant to be a fun experience. So we combine the digital comic along with role-playing action, and you go back in time as samurai warrior to feudal Japan and outskirts of Kyoto to battle the time menacing Chronolith and his evil agents of doom. And so, like I said, this is meant to be a lot of fun. It's meant to poke a lot of serious fun at different scopes of history, and that's what I like about it. It's just meant to be a learning experience as kids go through and don't realize that they're learning while they're doing it. All the characters in the game have some basis for history, and so, like I said, you don't realize you're learning history while you're playing because it's so ingrained, and it's really meant to be a fun experience.
I must ask. Also, because you brought up the feudal era of Japan, and so I'm like, are we like, do you fight alongside Nobunaga in any of this? Is it gonna be like samurai warriors or something similar to like that?
Our main character for the first episode is Kaizen, who's actually a samurai warrior that's made up. His name in Japanese means continuous development, so that's why I came up with the name for Kaizen. But it's really meant to provide a learning experience about feudal Japan, and you learn about the culture of feudal Japan at that time, how the capital of Japan was Kyoto, and then also some instances towards Bushido. It's really meant to be a high level experience. I'm not a historian, but what I try to do is provide all the references that I've used to let kids explore this further. So if for some reason they want to learn more about the horses that the samurai used because they were horseback warriors, I don't know if a lot of people
Right.
do that, but you have links
We're
that
also
are available
archers.
to find out more information about who the samurai really were. And that's really the whole point of Time Enforcers, is make the introduction, spark the curiosity, and then use it as a platform for kids to take interest in it.
I think that's wonderful. By any
That
chance,
is so awesome.
with your project, are you also going to focus on women in history by any chance?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, Kayla, because episode 2 is going to be focusing on 3 characters in particular. One is Amelia Earhart. So you actually, in episode 2, it's going to be a Galaga experience. If you remember Galaga from the 90s, where
Yeah.
you fly and destroy enemies in space, you'll actually be flying Amelia's
Love Galaga.
equipped 6-3D Vega, which is a big enhancement over a 5B Vega. You'll be able to travel interdimensionally with this plane. So it's going to be a Galaga experience. You'll be flying her plane and, combating Chronolith and all his enemies, all the while learning about more who Amelia Earhart really was. And, she was one of my heroes, especially. I mean, she not only was a pilot who flew across the Atlantic, she was also an entrepreneur. She's also an author. She really forwarded women's rights at a time when it was very difficult to do. And so she's going to be featured as a character in episode 2. We're also featuring Togo, who was the sled dog that ran the serum run in 1925 for the children who had diphtheria in Nome, Alaska. So he's going to be a character in the game. And then we actually
kind of like the other one, Balto.
Oh, where?
Well, Balto took his thunder. So if you know the story, Togo was the real hero. Balto was like, okay, he was there for the cameras. So it was really, you have to watch.
I didn't know that.
I got inspired by him. Yeah, Togo's really ran the backbone of that run, and he was highly overlooked for like almost 90 years. So
I did not know that. Thank you for enlightening me.
Yeah, it's stuff like that really, I want to bring to light, is really highlighting those characters, those people from history that have been overlooked in regular school curriculum.
Kind of like I hope like maybe like one of the other, if you would ever go about historic scientists, I know Marie Curie was very crucial to the science of radiation.
Yeah, I mean, the character that I do at these shows, like you're seeing on the screen, I created this character called C.T. Huygens, and a lot of people say, you're Einstein, are you Doc Brown? I say, no, I'm Professor C.T. Huygens. He's actually based on Christian Huygens, who was a Dutch physicist from this 18th century. He invented the pendulum, and then he was also very much in collaboration with Sir Isaac Newton. So a lot of the characters in the game have historical references, and I make note of that in the game as well. But yeah, I think science, in terms of innovators, in terms of inventors, are all key to understanding, how this game can be really a cool experience. The other character that we're going to be featuring in episode 2 is actually based on an inspiration from the film noir characters like Sam Spade and Philip Marlowe and Johnny Dollar. I created this character called Detective Nick O'Time. He's actually going to be voice acted by Raphael in the game. So I'm pretty excited about that. He's going to be doing the voice characterizations, and there's our magnet. So Raphael's going to make it up. You're going to make it bigger, though. That's too small. Get me off the screen. Show the magnet. Come on, there you go.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, so the thing about Nick is he's all in grayscale. He's going to be very much film noir.
Brilliant.
He's like Spider-Noir. Okay, I see how this goes.
Brilliant.
Yeah. So, what I like about it is it's a comic book, and I think, in some sense, comics take themselves too seriously sometimes. And my feeling is
Dick Tracy.
Yeah, in some sense. But I mean, like, when I think they take things too seriously, I think more like the Marvel Universe and how it's gonna go off the rails with all the TV shows and everything. It's like, it's a comic book. Let's face it. It's non-reality.
Yeah.
You can very much do whatever you want and have fun with it. So
I feel like that's more of the fan base's fault than the actual like studio or like the comic book company. Because I mean, yeah, I just think it's like I think that's just like the fan base's fault slightly, just slightly.
Yeah, I mean, the way I look at it is, I mean, episode 3, I've been introduced to a lot of people on this show, which has been a phenomenal experience for me. I've met up with people who've spoken about Native Americans and how I can hopefully feature them in the game as well. With episode 3, we're going to be focusing on Benjamin Banneker, who is actually an African American, lived during the American Revolution. He invented the first wooden clock with no experience. Man was a genius. He also surveyed Washington, D.C. So what are we going to do with episode 3? A little, I'm not going to say it's a spoiler because it's going to be a plot line, but basically in episode 2, Amelia, Nick, and Togo are flying from Kansas into the interdimensional realm to try and rescue Kaizen. On their way into the interdimensional realm, they see a huge figure coming out of the interdimensional realm into our time area. It's just to me like 1776.
It reminds me of like Doctor Who, kind of like.
Yeah, it's gonna be like it's a lot like Doctor Who.
Because
It's a lot more real historical based stuff.
I was gonna, cause like I was going to vaguely ask you, like, hey, what were you gonna do with like people like the Queen of Nimbia and things of that nature? But then again, I didn't feel like it was an appropriate time to ask like certain questions because I'm the kid that like I also liked history too when I was a kid. So like that would be one of my over fixations as a kid was like stuff like the Queen of Nimbia and like the adventure like and Julius Caesar and like the way how he ventured to like Egypt and all these other different places in Egyptian mythology. So like I was gonna ask like, oh yeah, what are you gonna do with Henry Johnson, like the guy who like fought in like World War II with his bare hands and killed like about 14 Germans, like or killed an
God
army
bless.
of Germans or whatever. I know, God bless his heart. I mean,
Mhm.
was putting the works on Germans in World War One. It wasn't World War II, it was World War One. But like I was like,
Right.
are we gonna have like an aspect of French warfare, things of that nature? I just wanted to understand like the gameplay of like the scenario, if it's gonna be like a multi thing game, like something similar to Nier, where it's like you have like a trench battleground like aspect, and then you have Gallica, and then you have like something else. I'm a little bit overly creative.
No, you're touching on all the
Be
facts
quiet.
that I want to do with this, Mochi. Is just I grew up playing video games, and I love role playing games. I love the stories that are behind them, and I
Yeah.
like all the different types of experiences. And in episode 2, we not only have a Galaga experience where you're going to be flying the airplane for Amelia, but you're also going to have a role playing aspect where you're going to either play as Nick, Amelia, or Togo, or when they actually rescue Kaizen, you play as Kaizen. So
Right.
it's really meant to be, a fun RPG along with this whole aspect of learning history.
What
And
is your soundtrack? I gotta know because I love video games for like the sound RPGs. The way how they hook me is the soundtrack.
yeah,
Like Persona, because like Persona, like the Atlas series. I mean, the Atlas as a company, basically, when they made Persona and then they made like a bunch of other games, like that is kind of what hooks me a lot of times in video games where it's like what is your soundtrack gonna be, because like I want to know, I want to kind of get into like your mind a little bit, like what does it sound like? Like what does your game sound like?
well, if you one, you can download the current game now off the app stores. It's only a couple bucks. And then two, a lot of the clips we have online on our Instagram channel and YouTube actually has a soundtrack behind it. And to be honest, I am doing this, from a bootstrapped shoestring perspective. I'm trying to find ways to do this so that I don't have to spend a lot of money on the development because it's already costs a lot already.
I
But
understand.
basically, I'm looking at royalty-free music to stage this. Ultimately, if I can get an NEH grant, which is one reason, if you can help me with the Fractured Atlas donations, that'll help me get towards being able to do that, is hire talent to not only program but also create content and develop music, like you've said. I mean, I think what you've touched on, Mochi, is there's really no end to the stories that I can produce with this project. I mean, that's why I think one of the big failings that there are with like a Destiny or an Assassin's Creed, they keep rehashing the same story over and over again. Whereas, like I said, this is a comic book, and I can take any character from history, throw them into any situation, and then totally blow up civilization as we know it and still have fun doing it. So it's going to be a lot of blasts. I mean, in episode 3, we're going to have Benjamin Banneker, like I mentioned. We're going to introduce this figure that comes through. In episode 2 is going to be a giant kaiju that's going to drop on Washington. So it's like I'm touching on all aspects of history. It's not just historical figures, but it's also movie making, and it's also comic books, and it's also art. I envision one of my episodes being based on Hosukai, who's the artist from Japan with the Great Wave, and actually doing all the artwork like that, in that type of style. It's really about
Yeah, it's Japanese printmaking.
yeah, exactly. But it's really about finding subjects that spark curiosity for kids to want to learn more. I grew up in a time when I didn't have an internet. I mean, I'm dating myself. I had to go to a library to get all my books and learn things. But I made an effort to do that because I like to do it. And it wasn't because, that was the only opportunity. Something inspired me when I saw the Civil War and heard about it that I wanted to find out more about it. You don't know what's going to spark someone's curiosity. I mean, you guys were talking about horror earlier, and you don't know, who was Edgar Allan Poe? What did he do? Who was, Lovecraft and what he wrote? And just, those types of books I think are all relevant to wanting to find out more about who these people are, what they did, and provide them the resources to find out about it. And I think if it's done the right way, you can present this material so that pretty much any age group can appreciate it and really start to find out for what it is and what it's worth. And so that's what I like about this. It's really meant, for kids 9 and older, but I'm much older than 9 years old, and I've been playing Time Enforcers for the past 3 years now, and I love it. It's just really a lot of fun. I look at it like the old Batman episodes from 1960s with Adam West and Burt Ward.
Yeah, those were good. Nice and
yeah, everything's an episode. So the first, game is episode 1, and then episode 2 is going to be Flying into the Chronostorm. That's going to be Amelia Earhart. Episode 3 is going to be a time. Oh, how did I write this? A time confounding conundrum, and that's going to be with Benjamin Banneker. So it's really all meant to be, poking fun, having a good time. Don't take myself too seriously, but present things in a fun and serious way, which I think is important.
Sorry, I have a really big, a slight, it's a serious, a little bit more serious, because of a character that I kind of been wanting to see more depicted in media, especially historical fiction media, Emperor Qin Shi Huang or Qing Shi Huang. He was the first unifier of China.
Mm-hmm.
So and he was this 14-year-old ruler who unified all of China when he was 8. By the time he was 18 or whatever, and he was this short, very over serious kind of caricature, and I was not caricature, because he was actually a really great emperor, but I kind of want to see him in the light of this over serious, overly dramatic kind of character, and I kind of want to see how I always wanted to see how somebody would actually write him into a story that's similar to what you're saying, where it's not taking itself too seriously. So you have this brooding guy in the background, and then everybody's basically just making sarcastic comments towards him or something, because they're just oh, look, it's the little emperor.
No, it's cool. I mean, that's exactly the type of things that I'm looking for, Mochi, is especially with kids, really identifying those figures from history that might have been children. So I think this is a great subject matter. I just noted it in my Evernote because 1, it won't go away and I can find it later, but 2, I want to do more research on it, because I think, especially if you can approach this type of subject that really, I think, makes a refrain with kids, they're going to want to appreciate it more and want to look into it themselves even more. If this 14-year-old can rule China, why can't I?
I know what's also interesting, since you mentioned about your love of role-playing games, is that one game engine that's really accessible for that is RPG Maker, which is now available on Steam and stuff. And as an idea, you could have a turn-based battle with famous historical figures going against it. I kind of think, I don't know if you remember this 90s cartoon called Historia. It was from the same creator of AnimeNYC. And actually, as a kid, I got a lot of historical facts from it that I didn't learn yet in school, that I thought was really fascinating. But I think something about mixing pop culture or familiar stuff like turn-based games with historical aspects is a great gateway to get kids into history by using popular media.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole thing. I mean,
I'm sorry, this wiggles around. I'm on a lap desk because I don't have a desk yet.
I don't worry about it.
Yeah, but no, I totally agree with that, Kayla. I mean, it's really about looking not only at history but the culture, and there's really there's really no reason why you can't ingrain current culture into the game as well. Which is, like I said, it's a comic book. Comic books reflect who we are as a society, whether people want to acknowledge it or not. And so, why can't I do that? And like I said, blow the doors off and have fun while we're doing it.
Right.
Really
On that subject, I think there's a historical manga you would like then, that takes place after the Sino-Russian War in the 1800s, called Golden Kamuy, which is about an ex-soldier in Hokkaido along with an Ainu girl, kind of going in the wilderness to find a mysterious treasure. And it's a seinen, so it is adult. But what's really awesome is that the creator did a lot of research into the native Japanese culture of the Ainu in Hokkaido, and made everything historically accurate. And then in the end of the book has all his resources from like museums and stuff, so that way you can go and read more about the culture yourself.
Yep.
So he actually like he like respectfully
love that story
portrays
so much.
that culture and helps people get more enlightened about it.
Yep. I totally agree. That's really the whole point. That
Historical
reason why I cite these
JoJo's
references is
Bizarre
just for that
Adventure.
reason.
It's so funny.
Yep.
All right, folks, that is our show for today.
Oh,
Thank
Check
you
out
so
all
much.
these beautiful people, and you rewatch the good conversations. Go check it out. And I'll say what I'll say on my other show. I'll press the button.